Story 1 all right. Let's rewind the clock to when I hit the big 3-0, a milestone that should have been marked with celebration, but instead found me plunged into a turmoil that rocked me to my core. You see, I had been married for 3 years, and almost 6 years into our companionship, our journey together had been a roller coaster of triumphs and tribulations. Yet, amidst the ups and downs of life, our bond remained a steadfast beacon of hope, a refuge in a world riddled with uncertainties. Our life wasn't extravagant by any means. We lived in a humble rental, burdened by debts that seemed to outweigh our modest savings. But despite the financial strain, I was unwavering in my commitment to provide for my wife, to ensure her comfort and security in a world that seemed increasingly tumultuous. Amidst the chaos of our everyday lives, there were moments of respite, brief respites where the weight of the world lifted, even if just for a moment. One such escape came in the form of a recreational soccer league, a hobby facilitated by a colleague turned friend. Every week, I eagerly took to the field, reveling in the camaraderie and competition that came with these matches. And while my wife often joined me, her presence served as both a comfort and a concern. A nagging suspicion lingered, hinting at a deeper discontent beneath her facade of support. But despite these whispers of doubt, our routine remained unchanged, until it wasn't. A few weeks prior, the tranquility of our lives was shattered by a sudden upheaval of plans. A gathering, organized by members of our social circle, beckoned from a distant location. Obligations tied me to our humble home, and with a heavy heart, I declined the invitation, opting instead to prioritize my professional commitments and the sanctity of our union. Little did I know, that decision would set off a chain of events that would unravel the very fabric of our marriage. Unbeknownst to me, my wife seized the opportunity presented by my absence, hitching a ride to the gathering with one of our acquaintances, a decision that would unleash a tempest of fury within me. Consumed by indignation, I returned home to an empty house, a chamber echoing with rage and betrayal. In a desperate quest for answers, I commandeered an ancient iPad linked to her accounts, a relic from a bygone era, now repurposed as a tool of investigation. What I uncovered within its digital confines would shatter the illusion of trust and fidelity that had once defined our union, a revelation so profound, it left me physically incapacitated, grappling with the enormity of her deception. The hours that followed were a blur, a whirlwind of emotion and disbelief. Faced with irrefutable evidence of her infidelity, my world seemed to crumble around me, a once solid foundation reduced to rubble by the weight of her betrayal. In a haze of rage and despair, I confronted her, demanding answers, seeking solace in the truth, no matter how painful. Yet her response was as expected as it was devastating. A tangled web of lies and half-truths, spun in a futile attempt to salvage the remnants of our shattered marriage. But beneath her facade of contrition, I sensed a deeper truth, an acknowledgement of her wrongdoing, buried beneath layers of denial and self-preservation. In the days that followed, I grappled with a whirlwind of emotions, anguish, guilt, and a gnawing sense of disbelief. How could someone I once trusted implicitly, someone I had vowed to cherish and protect, betray me in such a callous manner? The answers eluded me, lost amidst the wreckage of our shattered dreams. And yet, amidst the chaos, a glimmer of clarity emerged, a realization that our union was irreparably damaged, beyond the hope of reconciliation. Despite her pleas for forgiveness, I knew in my heart that our marriage was no more, a casualty of her indiscretions, and my inability to trust in the face of betrayal. With a heavy heart, I made the decision to seek solace in the arms of the law, to consult with a legal professional in pursuit of closure and justice. It was a daunting prospect, a journey into the unknown, fraught with uncertainty and trepidation. And yet, it was a journey I knew I must undertake, a path towards healing and redemption, no matter the cost. As I navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the legal system, I found myself grappling with a myriad of emotions, anger, sorrow, and a profound sense of loss. Yet, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged, a flicker of resilience and determination, burning bright within the recesses of my soul. In the weeks that followed, I sought solace in the familiarity of routine, the monotony of everyday life offering a brief respite from the turmoil that raged within. Yet, beneath the facade of normalcy, a storm was brewing, a tempest of emotion that threatened to engulf me in its fury. And yet, amidst the chaos, a seed of hope emerged, a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding me towards a future defined not by the pain of the past, but by the promise of tomorrow. It was a journey fraught with uncertainty, a path shrouded in shadows, yet illuminated by the flickering flame of resilience and determination. As I stood on the precipice of the unknown, I knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and obstacles. Yet, I also knew that I was not alone, that with each step forward I would be guided by the unwavering strength of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope. In the days and weeks that followed, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, a quest for redemption and renewal that would redefine the very essence of my being. It was a journey fraught with uncertainty and peril, yet illuminated by the flickering flame of resilience and determination. As I navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the legal system, I found myself confronting the demons of my past, reckoning with the pain and anguish that had once threatened to consume me. Yet, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged, a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding me towards a future defined not by the pain of the past, but by the promise of tomorrow. In the days and weeks that followed, I sought solace in the embrace of loved ones, a reminder of the enduring power of human connection and the transformative potential of love. It was a journey fraught with uncertainty and peril, yet illuminated by the flickering flame of resilience and determination. As I stood on the precipice of the unknown, I knew that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges and obstacles. Yet, I also knew that I was not alone, that with each step forward I would be guided by the unwavering strength of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope. Update: it's been almost a month since I first poured out my heart here. Unfortunately, things have taken a turn for the worse. Following your advice, I scheduled appointments with lawyers and a legal document preparation expert to explore my options. My wife had no clue about these meetings. We went several days without direct contact after my initial post, but she was adamant about seeing a marriage therapist this time. I had been suggesting therapy for months before D-Day, hoping we could mend our relationship. But deep down, I knew where my heart was leaning. Eventually, she managed to secure us an appointment with a therapist, but we had to wait about a week and a half to get in. During that time, I found myself obsessively tracking her every move through that cursed iPad. I scoured through messages on Facebook, Snapchat, and every other platform I could think of, hoping to find some sign of remorse or fidelity. After a week and a half of relentless surveillance, I came up empty-handed. Part of me began to entertain the notion that maybe she was genuinely sorry for what she'd done. When we finally met the therapist, he asked us why we were there. I turned to my wife and asked her to explain the situation in her own words. She glossed over some details, but the gist of it came out. Then the therapist turned to me, wanting to know how her actions had affected my trust in her and our marriage. I couldn't bring myself to answer him directly. Instead, I blurted out that for me, there was no going back. The marriage was beyond repair. The vows had been broken, and my trust lay in ruins. I felt a strange sense of relief after vocalizing my decision, even though my wife dissolved into tears. I made it clear that I didn't see any hope of salvaging our relationship. I reiterated my belief that the marriage was over, despite what we once promised each other. The therapist then focused on explaining to my wife why my decision was entirely reasonable given the circumstances. He tried to calm her down, but in my opinion, the session couldn't have gone any better. The therapist suggested that we each undergo individual therapy sessions, rather than couples therapy, to focus on healing ourselves first. He hinted that maybe, years down the line, there might be a chance for reconciliation, but I had no intention of considering that possibility at this point. However, I recognized the potential benefits of individual therapy for myself. Before continuing, I knew I was about to embark on a legal journey. If things didn't go smoothly, it could become messy and financially devastating for me, especially since I was the primary breadwinner in a no-fault state. I documented the legal process meticulously, but refrained from sharing details online until everything was finalized. Fast forward a week and a half, and both of us had undergone individual therapy sessions. My wife was telling her family that we were ending the marriage due to broken vows, while we both focused on healing ourselves. She remained with her family, and I continued my habit of monitoring her digital presence for any signs of ongoing unhealthy behavior, as some of you had suggested she might be engaging in. One night last week, I realized there was one place I hadn't looked yet: the App Store. I checked the app download history of the iCloud account and discovered that almost 2 weeks prior, she had downloaded a secret texting app onto her phone. It dawned on me that all this time, she had gone to great lengths to hide some form of messaging from me, even though she knew I had her iPad. She insisted that I keep it to rebuild trust, but I don't think she realized that any apps downloaded on one iCloud-connected device could be seen in the history from any other connected device. I was driven by a desperate need to uncover the truth, almost like I was operating on autopilot, disconnected from my own body. With trembling hands, I downloaded the secret texting app onto my iPad and tried various login combinations until I gained access. And there it was, staring back at me, the ugly truth I had feared and suspected. Not only had my wife been messaging Buddy on this app since our first therapy session, but they had also continued their physical relationship, even when she knew I'd be away. The weight of this revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. It was 3 in the morning on a weeknight, but I couldn't contain the torrent of emotions flooding through me. I rushed to the bathroom, grabbing handfuls of prescription medications, contemplating an escape from the pain that threatened to consume me. Tears streaming down my face, I clutched the pills, ready to surrender to the darkness. In a moment of clarity, I reached for my phone, desperately seeking solace from my family. My mom didn't pick up, nor did my dad. But finally, my sister answered, her voice a lifeline in the darkness. Through uncontrollable sobs, I confided in her, sharing the devastating truth I had uncovered. She stayed on the line, soothing and reassuring me until the storm inside began to subside. After hanging up, I returned to the bathroom, emptying the pills back into their bottles, washing away the physical remnants of my despair. But sleep eluded me, the weight of betrayal pressing down on me like a suffocating blanket. As morning dawned, I knew I couldn't stay in that suffocating atmosphere any longer. Despite the agony that threatened to consume me, I forced myself to get dressed and head to work. With a heavy heart, I stashed the pills and the iPad in my briefcase, seeking refuge in the routine of the office. Once there, I entrusted my most trusted coworker with my burden, asking him to lock away the evidence of my wife's betrayal, vowing not to return them to me under any circumstances. With a silent nod of understanding, he accepted my plea, offering a comforting pat on the shoulder as I retreated into the anonymity of my workspace. Finally, I had the undeniable proof I had been searching for, confirmation of my wife's infidelity and deception. Yet, as the days passed, I found myself grappling with what to do with this newfound knowledge. The urge to expose her, to shatter the facade of her deceit, warred with the need to protect myself during the divorce process. Despite her attempts to reach out to me, I remained steadfast in my silence, refusing to engage with her. It wasn't until she confronted me, her anger and frustration bubbling to the surface, that I finally laid bare the extent of her betrayal. I confronted her directly, demanding answers, and when met with denial, I revealed the damning evidence I had uncovered. In exchange for my silence, I offered her a choice, to accept the divorce proceedings without resistance or face the full consequences of her actions. She crumpled to the ground, overwhelmed by sobs and desperation, yet I remained unmoved by her anguish, resolute in my decision. Since that day, I have honored my word, keeping the truth confined to the confines of my immediate family. Yet, as I watch her continue to deceive those around her, masquerading as a victim of circumstance, I am plagued by a sense of injustice. She gets to maintain the illusion of normalcy, while I bear the weight of her betrayal in silence. It's a bitter pill to swallow, knowing that the truth remains hidden beneath layers of deceit and denial. Update: I'm checking in now that my divorce is officially finalized. After enduring the absurdly long 6-month and 1-day cooling-off period to see if my ex-wife would change her story without my knowledge, it's finally over. I've embraced complete no contact, and I feel like I can finally start moving forward with my life. Many of you followed my journey from the initial shock of D-Day through the tumultuous cooling-off period, and I thought I'd provide an update on what transpired after my last post. About 6 weeks after D-Day, I had already taken steps to file for divorce with the county to initiate the process. Following the advice of supportive Redditors, I returned the iPad to my ex-wife and severed ties with any devices or accounts that would allow me to obsess over her activities. Although my approach to the divorce process may have taken an emotional toll, it ultimately saved me financially in the long run. Navigating my state's no-fault divorce system was challenging, especially since I was the primary breadwinner. The thought of paying significant spousal support to someone who had put me through so much pain and betrayal infuriated me. I devised a plan to end the marriage swiftly and completely, determined to escape the toxic environment without draining my finances. Looking back, I acknowledge that some of my tactics may not align with the highest moral standards, But given the circumstances, I stand by my decisions. Around the same time as my last post, I had already drafted and submitted the divorce papers to the county, though my ex-wife remained unaware. She had been staying with her family since I asked her to leave our home. Despite the pretense of trying to salvage our relationship during our discussions, I made it clear that our marriage was irreparably damaged. I proposed the idea of mutually ending our marriage and starting fresh, which she surprisingly agreed to. To expedite the process and maintain privacy, I orchestrated the serving of the divorce papers with the help of a mutual friend acting as a mediator. We met at our former home, and my ex-wife signed the papers without much scrutiny. My primary goal was to avoid spousal support, so I ensured that the paperwork was crafted to reflect this, painting a favorable picture to keep her compliant. Over the first few months, I continued to meet with my ex-wife under the guise of needing time to think and potentially reconcile. These meetings, always held in public places, allowed me to maintain control, while she remained unaware of my true intentions. Through deception and manipulation, I removed her from our joint accounts, terminated our lease, and relocated her belongings to a storage unit, all while maintaining the facade of reconciliation. Around the start of the fourth month, I received a troubling text from a family member who was aware of the truth. They inquired if we were still working things out, prompting me to respond affirmatively to uphold the illusion of reconciliation. However, their subsequent message containing a photo of my ex-wife and buddy dining together shattered that illusion, revealing the harsh reality of her ongoing betrayal. So, it turns out that a family member spotted my ex-wife and buddy together at a restaurant. This is where I made a huge mistake by letting my emotions get the best of me. I immediately texted my wife, asking if we could talk on the phone. She lied, claiming she was at an AA meeting and would call me afterward. That's when I lost my cool and replied sarcastically, questioning the existence of AA meetings at restaurants and suggesting that Buddy was her sponsor. This sparked a heated phone call where she accused me of stalking her, and I responded with some less than friendly words, making it clear that I had no interest in ever speaking to her again. During the last 2 months of the divorce, she openly entered a relationship with Buddy. Initially, they kept it private, but eventually, it became public. Despite blocking them on social media, information still trickled in through mutual friends, who began reaching out to me for details. I felt the need to get our mutual friends on my side, sharing the truth with them to gain their support. Finally, I had people to vent to, and I took full advantage of it. Most of the people I spoke to had also talked to her, trying to gather information about Buddy and her affair. While she didn't deny cheating, she downplayed many details, leaving me to fill in the gaps. Our friends and her close relatives were shocked, but they chose to support me, as I asked them not to confront her until the divorce was finalized. As time passed and their relationship continued, it became more public, and I found myself inundated with calls and updates. It got to the point where I had to ask people to stop sharing their developments with me because it was causing me immense emotional pain. Just days before the divorce was finalized, on Valentine's Day, I received multiple screenshots of a social media post showing my ex-wife and Buddy hugging, accompanied by a romantic caption expressing her love and hopes of marrying him someday. While I'd like to say it doesn't bother me, deep down, it does. There's still a lingering feeling of loss, but now it's mixed with overwhelming disgust and regret for ever being involved with someone so heartless and grotesque. It's sickening to think I couldn't see her true nature all those years. The court finalized the dissolution of our marriage last week, without any papers or her chance to contest anything we hadn't agreed on previously. I managed to keep my entire $401k, avoid spousal support, additional debt, lawyers, court appearances, or ever having to deal with her again. At the end of the day, I blocked her number from my cell phone. The very next day, 7 of my closest friends, 6 of whom were mutual friends, threw a divorce party for me. They documented the whole thing on Snapchat, and it was a celebration worth sharing. Each of them earned a solid social media block from my ex-wife and a few not-so-nice texts from her. Even her maid of honor attended my divorce party and wants nothing to do with her anymore. While digging through her digital tracks, I discovered that she had been sleeping with a guy from her hometown while all this chaos was going on. This guy happens to be an old flame of hers who has a wife and kid back home. Now, I'm torn about whether I should inform his wife. I feel guilty for not saying anything sooner, but the thought of wrecking another family and carrying that burden on my conscience is weighing heavily on me. Should I reach out to her? Do I reveal my identity, or do I keep this to myself? It's a constant nagging thought in my mind, making me feel sick, anxious, and even giving me occasional nightmares. Any advice would be greatly appreciated, taking all factors into account. Update: in just 17 days, it'll mark the second anniversary of my D-Day. Honestly, looking back at the previous posts I wrote, I never imagined I'd make it this far in terms of the time that's passed and the healing from the pain, burden, hurt, and depression caused by my ex-wife's horrific actions. Many of you kind folks have reached out asking for an update, and all I can say is, be careful what you wish for. Hopefully, this will be my last update about what's happened since the divorce was finalized. In case you're just jumping into this conversation, here's some light reading to catch you up on the situation. If you enjoy being shocked, flabbergasted, appalled, or left speechless, read the post below first before you continue. Obviously, it's been quite a while since my last update, but some significant events have unfolded that truly illustrate how terrible a person can be. After the divorce was officially done in February 2019, I tried my best to go no contact, but that's not always easy these days. I didn't actually talk to her or anything like that, but every now and then I might come across a post from a distant family member of hers that I hadn't blocked yet, or a friend might accidentally mention something they saw on a mutual friend's Snapchat, things like that. My true friends did their best to spare me from these kinds of updates, but some news was just too big to keep to themselves. The first bombshell dropped in May of 2019 when one of my closest friends called to spill the beans. My ex-wife was tying the knot with a guy from Tennessee. Wait, what? Yep, it was for real. My friend's husband hadn't blocked my ex-wife on Facebook yet, and he managed to snap some screenshots of the whole lead-up to this big revelation. Keep in mind, this saga unfolded between March and July of 2019. Apparently, Buddy didn't stick around for long after our divorce was finalized. I don't have all the details on that or how it ended, but honestly, it's not too surprising. Starting in April, her Facebook status updates hinted at everything happening for a reason, dropping subtle clues that she was falling for someone new. Poor soul. Then, out of the blue in July, a simple picture and caption popped up on her Facebook wall. The photo showed her and some random dude, none of us knew who he was, standing in a courthouse holding hands, wearing rings, and proudly displaying what looked like a marriage certificate. The location tag said California, and she'd updated her last name with a caption that went something like, "Excited to start the rest of my life with such an amazing man. Feeling so blessed. Look out, Tennessee. Here we come." Dramatic pause here. I know this entire story, all the way back to my first post, might sound unbelievable, but I have no other proof than my word. Some of you might drop off here, but if you've stuck around this long, I hope you trust me. I just couldn't resist the intense curiosity surrounding the situation, so I reached out to one of my ex-wife's cousin-in-law, someone I got along with pretty well, to get the whole story. He was willing to spill the beans. Turns out, her new husband was a guy she'd met online, and they'd been talking for a few months over the phone, via text and so on. Apparently, they both fell head over heels for each other, and he proposed to her during a phone call. She said yes, and they just couldn't wait. Within a week of the proposal, despite her best efforts to inform her family and invite them to the wedding, which took place in some random town about 2 hours away from our hometown for reasons unknown, he flew out to California, and they got married on a Saturday. Remarkably, that was the first time they'd ever met face to face, but they were now husband and wife. The real kicker, as per her cousin, is that not a single member of her family attended the courthouse wedding. Whether it was due to a lack of time to plan or just a lack of respect to attend, they got married in a pretty unceremonious way, something that I'm sure would have really bothered her. The following Sunday was spent packing up a moving truck with all her stuff, and on Monday, they headed east for Tennessee. I couldn't believe it. I've heard the story from enough people by now to know it's true, but back then, it was just mind-boggling. I feel for that poor guy. If only he knew. I'm sure if he did know, he wouldn't have chosen to get married in California, a no-fault state where he could end up in the same situation I was dealing with. Hopefully, it's more about him not being informed rather than making a dumb decision. For a while, I did my best to push thoughts of the two of them out of my mind, but I did find some comfort in knowing they were moving far, far away, so there was no chance of randomly bumping into them again. Summer came and went in 2019, but right in the middle of fall, Another bombshell hit. While scrolling through Instagram, a video popped up on my screen showing my ex-wife holding a plate in front of her father with him, covering his eyes with his hands. Before I could even comprehend what was happening, I saw a single cookie on the plate covered in blue frosting. My ex-wife's voice counted down. 3, 2, 1. It's a boy. As her father uncovered his eyes, it was a gender reveal video. Why was I seeing this? Her mother had just created a public Instagram account and posted this video of her husband's excitement. Apparently, Instagram's algorithm thought I'd be interested. I completely lost it. Those were some really rough days and sleepless nights. The emotions I felt were a mix of disgust, pain, frustration, and even a hint of jealousy. Becoming a father is one of my big dreams in life, and if all this hadn't happened on our original timeline, this could have been the time we were expecting a child together. It could have been my child. I could have been the one about to become a father. I'm 32 years old now. Honestly, I thought I'd be a father by this age, or at least on the path to a serious relationship, if not with a child on the way. I consider myself a mature man, and I understand that I still have time ahead of me to achieve my dream of starting a family with someone I love and am happy with, but I can't help but compare where I am in life to where I thought I'd be by now. What I can say for sure is that in this particular situation, I'd much rather be in my position than the soon-to-be fathers. I can only imagine that by now, the baby is probably already born. Luckily, I haven't heard any news either way, and I think that's a better position to be in than knowing for certain. But every now and then, I can't help but wonder. The good news is that when I really think about it, there are more and more days now when she and her chaotic life don't even cross my mind, and I consider that progress. Of course, there are still bad days, and with the stay-at-home orders, those bad days can become unbearably depressing. I'm fortunate to currently work as an independent contractor, which allows me to work from home on my computer, but these days can be quite lonely. I make an effort to get out and go for walks, but I really miss going to the gym. I've also visited my parents as much as I can just to have some company that isn't from a webinar or a phone call. I understand that we're all going through this challenging situation together, and I'm not alone in this. When I start feeling hopeless, I remind myself of the early days following my D-Day and how I thought I'd never make it through. Yet here I am, standing strong. I know I'll get through this difficult time as well. One day at a time, one moment at a time if necessary. Time keeps moving forward, even if it feels agonizingly slow. Update time. In the vast expanse of time since the heart-wrenching revelation that shattered the fragile semblance of normalcy I once clung to, I've traversed a winding path fraught with twists and turns, setbacks and triumphs. 3 years have passed since D-Day, marking a pivotal juncture in my journey towards self-discovery and renewal. As I embark on this narrative odyssey, I invite you to accompany me through the labyrinthine corridors of my mind, where echoes of the past intermingle with the promise of a brighter tomorrow. With the passage of seasons, the tumultuous waves of grief have gradually subsided, leaving in their wake a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. It has been over a year since my last dispatch from this digital sanctuary, a period marked by profound transformation and introspection. In the crucible of adversity, I have emerged as a phoenix reborn from the ashes, fortified by the crucible of my experiences and emboldened by the resilience of the human spirit. A cornerstone of my journey toward healing has been the deliberate choice to sever all ties with my ex-wife and her extended family, an act of self-preservation born from the recognition that continued entanglement would only serve to perpetuate the cycle of pain and regret. Through the somber veil of detachment, I have reclaimed agency over my narrative, forging a path untethered to the ghosts of the past. Yet, the decision to enact complete and utter estrangement was not without its sacrifices. The bonds once shared with her family, once akin to blood ties, now lie severed, a poignant reminder of the collateral damage wrought by betrayal. The loss of these relationships, though lamentable, served as a necessary catalyst for my emancipation, clearing the path for new beginnings and unforeseen opportunities. In the void left by severed ties, I have found solace in the steady cadence of solitude, embracing the sanctity of self-reflection and introspection. Far removed from the tumult of external distractions, I have cultivated an inner sanctuary, wherein the echoes of the past are but whispers in the wind, fleeting reminders of a chapter long since closed. Amidst the backdrop of a global pandemic, I embarked on a daring venture into the uncharted waters of entrepreneurship. casting aside the safety net of corporate conformity in favor of autonomy and self-determination. The inception of my own independent consulting business marked a seminal moment in my journey, a testament to the indomitable spirit of resilience and adaptability. Specializing in tech support and its system design, I navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the digital landscape with aplomb, securing lucrative contracts with local government organizations and private enterprises alike. Each triumph served as a testament to the power of perseverance and the boundless potential of human ingenuity, reaffirming my unwavering commitment to self-empowerment. Yet, amidst the euphoria of professional success, a shadow loomed on the horizon, a specter of doubt and uncertainty that threatened to eclipse the brilliance of my achievements. The scars of betrayal, though faded, remained etched upon the fabric of my being, casting a pall over my aspirations for companionship and intimacy. In the labyrinthine landscape of modern romance, I found myself adrift in a sea of uncertainty, grappling with the complexities of trust and vulnerability. A brief dalliance with online dating served as a sobering reminder of the inherent challenges of forging meaningful connections in the digital age, as I navigated the murky waters of superficiality and disillusionment. Yet, amidst the disillusionment, there remained a flicker of hope, a steadfast belief in the transformative power of love and connection. Though the road ahead may be fraught with uncertainty and peril, I remain resolute in my commitment to honor the sanctity of my own truth, trusting that the path to fulfillment lies not in the destination, but in the journey itself. As I continue to chart a course through the tempestuous seas of post-divorce life, I am reminded of the immutable power of resilience and self-compassion. Each day presents an opportunity to redefine myself, to rewrite the narrative of my existence with bold strokes of authenticity and courage. Through the prism of adversity, I have discovered the latent potential that lies dormant within us all, a boundless reservoir of strength and resilience waiting to be unleashed. Though the scars of betrayal may linger, they serve as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the human soul, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness. As the tapestry of my life unfolds, I am reminded of the intrinsic beauty that lies in the ebb and flow of existence, the cyclical rhythm of loss and renewal, of pain and growth. In the crucible of adversity, I have discovered the true measure of my strength, emerging from the crucible of my experiences with newfound clarity and purpose. As I pen these words, I am filled with a sense of profound gratitude for the trials that have tested my resolve, for the triumphs that have illuminated my path, and for the unwavering support of those who have walked alongside me on this journey. Though the road ahead may be fraught with uncertainty, I embrace the challenges that lie before me with open arms, trusting that each obstacle serves as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. For in the crucible of adversity, we find the forge in which our truest selves are forged, shining bright amidst the darkness like a beacon of hope in the night.